in. Um, I have to tell you, there are things that really excite me in my business, and this is one of them. And I am so excited to share it with you because I think one of the biggest disservices, no disrespect to anyone, but the disservices in our industry is number one, when we get our license, they don't teach us about money and expenses and profit and loss and all of that, number one. But number two is we don't really have any tools. So when we step out of real estate school, we're like, okay, world, here we are. We have a phone book and a phone, which is, I know, old school. That's how I started, was with phone book and a phone. Didn't even have a cell phone. But now we have our cell phone, right? Or we have Google and a computer, and we don't know what we don't know. And so I've spent the last 15 years coaching some of the top teams around the country, and now still do some coaching, but primarily I'm a consultant. So when somebody hires me, I come in and I just really dig into their business, like, how do you track your leads? What's your CRM look like? Where's your financials? Who does your IT? How do you train your team? What's your onboarding process look like? And it's shocking to me how many people, in spite of ourselves, make a lot of money with no systems, right? And so I am the system structure queen. That's who I am. So I created this forum to share with anybody who would listen, to say, listen, this is a gift for you. Thanks to your partnership with My Lending Hand Mortgage and Kevin and his crew, you're going to get this form. It doesn't cost you a thing, and you get to use it forever and ever. I'm sending the link. I've already sent the link. So if you haven't gotten it from his crew yet, you will. But I'm going to share my screen today. I'm going to walk you through how to fill out a data tracker. We're going to talk about what's on there, how to use it as a resource, and it's going to be all yours. And so hopefully this will bring you a lot of clarity and a lot of information that you can use to take your career to the next height for many, many years to come. So the purpose of the form is awareness and accountability. Okay, awareness and accountability. Most of us have a hard time holding ourselves accountable when we don't have something to measure the accountability by. So last month we did goal setting, business planning. Now you have those in place. So that's kind of your accountability tool with that. This is going to be your accountability tool for tracking your leads. But more importantly, it's going to be awareness. Okay. If we were all in a room together and I could see you guys, I would be asking questions for you to raise your hand, but I can't, but I'm still going to ask the question. So ask yourself, how do I track my leads? Right? Where do they go? Some of us might say, hey, they're in my CRM. If you're like me, I got to focus on what's right in front of me. I'm a visual person and it's in my computer. I might get to my computer today and I might not. Funny story, yesterday morning, I did my morning routine. I brushed my teeth, pulled my hair up. I did my coaching call with my business coach with every intention to work out right after that and run through the shower and get to work. Guess what? At 7 o'clock last night, when I walked out of my office, I still hadn't had a shower. I was still in the same clothes that I was in when I got out of bed. It's embarrassing, but that happens to all of us, right? And so that's a prime example is if everything I need is in my computer and I'm not with my computer, then I don't have any tools to work with. So I would recommend, I'm going to walk you through it, but if it were me, I would print one for every month and I would carry it with me. If I had to fold it up and put it in my back pocket or in my purse, I would have a data tracker with me at all times. And you'll see why here in a second. Okay. So the awareness is going to help you with, do I have enough leads? Where are my leads coming from? Do I have an issue with lead generating or do I have an issue with closing? I'll show you that. Do I have an issue with fallout? Why am I losing leads? What is happening? So there's going to be a place for you to make notes for that. Okay. So leads are our lifeblood. All right. There is not an endless supply of leads. I know people will tell you, oh, I'm a lead generator. I'm great. But there is not an endless supply of leads. So we need to treat them more like they are liquid gold for us. And this is a way that they won't fall through the cracks because, again, I can't see your hands, but if I'm guessing 50% of us have had a closing 2 or 3 years later, we're driving through a neighborhood and we pass that house and we're like, oh, that's the Roberts house. And that is not my sign, right? Hopefully some of you can relate to that. I hope I'm not the only one, but I did a poor job of not following up with my clients because I didn't have a system and they went with someone else, right? And so again, leads are not endless supply. They are our lifeblood. We need to know where they're coming from. Another thing that this form will show you is, besides where your leads are coming from, is are you marketing your database properly? Right? We talked about database on this call before. Here's the thing that you have to remember. Every single person, this is an NAR stat from a couple years ago. I'm assuming it's probably just the same as it was then, but everyone in your database knows a minimum of 5 agents. So when you're not calling them, or you're not asking for their help, or you're not trying to see if you can bring value to them, guess what? Maybe one of those other 4 are, right? The last one is, if you don't have a system like I didn't for many years, this is your new tool, okay? My system for years was sticky notes. No judgment, okay? I could sell over 100 houses a year with sticky notes all on my wall. The listings were green, the buyer leads were yellow. When I got the deal done, I pulled the sticky note off, okay? Some of you are probably cracking up, but I didn't have a tool, right? I didn't have a CRM when I started. I had to do what I had to do. So that is some ideas around leads. The next one is, you will have lots of opportunities to work deals and leads, but we don't always pounce on those opportunities or leads because they fall through the cracks. That should not happen for you anymore. And then some weaknesses we'll talk about as we go through the form. Here are your tools and your tips to make this work the best for you. Okay. Number 1, you have to keep it up daily. It has to be a 5-minute ritual every single day, either first thing in the morning that you do from your leads from the day before, or the very last thing you do before you shut your phone off at night for the leads that you generated through the day. Okay. If you're not making this a system and a habit, it won't happen. And then you're no better off as if you didn't have one at all. Okay. Schedule a time in your calendar weekly to review it. Okay. The reason I say that is my motto on my team was always no lead left behind. No lead left behind. Okay. So if every week I'm going back and seeing who I haven't had an appointment with yet, it gives me somebody to call. If I've had the appointment, but they haven't pulled the trigger to list or buy with me, now I've got somebody to call, right? If things are falling through, I know if I've got 15 minutes spare in the day and I've lost 3 deals for the same reason, I need to practice role playing. I need to call my lender and say, hey, help me with a script. I need to work on my business every single day. And if leads are our lifeblood, that has to be part of our daily ritual as well as our weekly ritual. Okay. And then you will know how many leads your goal is if you did goal setting with us last month, or at least you took a stab at it. Okay. That was one of our things that we wanted to figure out, is how many leads do we need to generate to get the closings that we want. Okay. So you can pull that off of your goal sheets from last month for this year. Okay. So I'm going to run in and grab my screen and turn it around, and I'm going to walk you through this process. Okay. All right, guys, everybody see my screen? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, perfect. All right. So real estate data tracker. You guys are going to get this tracker. The greatest thing about it is the formulas are going to be locked, so you can't screw it up. Anybody else struggle with Excel spreadsheet and you mess up the formulas and then you're doing everything manual? Yes, me too. Okay. So this one is not locked. It's a sample that I'm using for training. But when you get the link from our crew at the Lending Hand Mortgage team, yours will be locked. But you will notice that it has January through December at the bottom. So you can start using this right away for January, add any that you've already gotten. So at the top, you would put your month and then your monthly lead goal. So if your goal is 10 or whatever it is from when we did goal setting, you could put that number in there. Okay. And then your year. All right. So let me walk you through how this works. Your name of your lead goes here. I've just done some samples, so kind of shortchanged just first names. And then our lead source, and I'm going to show you what those lead sources acronyms are when we get to the bottom here in just a second. Now, you will see this says contact info. Some people I've been working on this form for about 6 weeks with a couple of different people being my guinea pigs. Some people wanted contact info, and some people wanted like result info, what the result of the lead is. Okay, use it however you need it. All right, but for me, every single, as I said, no lead left behind. Every month, I'm going back to this sheet. So I want to make sure that I know why they called me versus their information, because that's in my CRM. Obviously, they get added to the CRM with their email address and their phone number and all that. So for me, it's more about if I'm looking at this and number 3, Joan is somebody I need to follow up with. She's a possible reload buyer. I don't want to have to go into my CRM to figure out, read all my notes. Is she coming? Is she not? Whatever. This reminds me that, hey, she's the reload buyer. I need to just reach out and see if the package came through yet or whatever. Okay. So use that contact information that best serves you, whether it's what's going on with the lead or their contact information. Okay. All right. The next 4 columns you'll see at the top, it says outcome. So most of us may not have this data currently, and so this should absolutely change the way you're able to do your business and the formulas and the things that you want to know about your business moving forward. So the first category there is appointment. So Bob calls me, he's got a house at 123 BC Street, and I've set the appointment. So I click the box appointment. Okay. All right. I go to the listing appointment, and he and I get the listing done. It's a deal. Okay, so a deal for me on this form is a buyer that I have a consummated contract or a listing agreement that I signed with the seller. Okay. Then the next column there, you will see the dollar amount that says we got a paycheck, baby. Okay. So we went from appointment to a deal, got the deal, listing appointment. And then when I got paid, I checked the money box. All right. Now, if it had fallen out after it was a deal, then this box would not be checked, but this box would. We had a listing, it didn't appraise, they're not going to sell it. Now it's a fallout. Okay. All right. Now, you're going to get leads that aren't going to have any activity, right? And so we're over here in March and we're blowing and going, and all of a sudden Joan calls and says, hey, I talked to you in January. I finally got my relocation package. All you have to do is go back to January and click, now I have an appointment with Joan. And then we go to a deal. And then we get paid. Does this make sense to you guys? So this form is interactive all the time. So you don't have to remember, to go market here, go market there. If all of your information for your leads are on this form, all you have to do is click away. Okay. All right. Here's where the magic happens. Let's go to the bottom. So it totals your leads for the month. So this is your monthly lead count. I had 10 names on here, so I have 10 leads. Okay. Total leads for the year, because it's January, it's the exact same thing. All right. Now it totaled each one of my columns here. So now I know that I had 8 appointments. I got 3 deals, and I closed 3 deals in January. So if somebody says, how was your January? And you're like, oh, I closed 3 deals. Now you know, versus, oh, I think I had probably 4 or 5. And then you go look and it's 3. Anybody relate to that? I never knew how. I mean, I could only keep up with what's right in front of me, right? All right. So here's your lead source breakdown right here. A DB is a database. So that is a current client, a previous client referral, a personal friend. Anybody that's in your database is going to be a database lead. Okay. Now, if you get a database lead, but you want to know who referred it because it was a referral, you can see I said database Cooke. So if you want to put the client who referred them's last name there, so you can remember to keep them updated through the process and a thank you note, all of that, you can add that. These columns up here are not locked. So they are going to be able to adjust and move fluently. The ones that are locked are your numbers down here at the bottom. Okay, so you can do whatever you want to do at the top, however you want to customize that. You will see the KI here is the key influencers. Remember, those are people who have the opportunity to refer us multiple times in a year. So builder, developer, things like that. Okay. If you get a realtor referral, maybe that's a relo or a realtor from another area gives you a referral. That would be an RR, realtor referral. And then you'll see PCL, that's a paid cold lead. So if you're a Zillow, Realtor.com, Commission Inc., yada, 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 all those other ones, if you pay for leads and you get a lead, so that would be a PCL. All right. And then the other one is a free cold lead. That's an FCL. An FCL would be an open house lead. They got your mailer and called you for a listing appointment, anything like that. So you didn't pay for it, but you don't have a relationship with that person. They weren't referred. So that would be a free cold lead. Okay. Some of you may be saying, why the heck do I care? Well, you should care. If you are spending money on paid cold leads and they never convert, you need to stop throwing bad money at bad results. Okay. If you're not tracking your leads right now, then you wouldn't know that. It's not a, oh my gosh, you're silly. It's, oh my gosh, we never knew these things, right? So I would take the money that was not returning an investment on me, and I would put more towards my database, have another client party. Maybe I would have a key influencer happy hour or book club or something. I would take the money and put it towards things that are already paying me dividends to elevate the number of leads that I'm getting so I can raise my income by using those referrals versus chasing the cold leads. That's why that's important to me. Hopefully that makes sense to you. All right, down here at the bottom, it says explanation of fallout. If you have a fallout, I think it's very important that you record why it fell out. Again, as a consultant or as a coach, I want to know why we're losing deals. So is it a situation of, everybody you're sending to your lender is not getting pre-approved? Maybe you're not setting proper expectations when you do the buyer consultation, okay? Maybe you're having a conversation when the lead comes in, but you're not setting the appointment. Maybe you don't have a perfected script. Maybe you're getting the appointment, but then they don't call you back to get the deal. So maybe you're saying the wrong thing, or you don't have a professional presentation. You're not wowing them. Somebody else is wowing them. All of these kind of things are really important for you to continue to get better at what you do. Okay. So I have a couple of clients that said, I'm going to use this for when somebody calls me back and they listed with somebody else. So I'm going to put lost listing and I'm going to put 3 hashtags. Okay. Whoops. Sorry, y'all. I'm going to put, 1, 2, 3. So 3 times I lost the listing to another agent. Okay, so now I know that I need to work on my presentation or bringing more value or whatever. If I lost a fallout to a lack of appraisal, that's not something I can control, right? But if I don't have the data on this form, then I think I will remember it. I try to remember it, but the truth of the matter is we don't and we can't. Okay. So this is your place for explanation. If you just want to keep up with fallouts down there, perfect. If you want to keep up with why you don't get listings or whatever, if you know that somebody got a listing because of XYZ, it's good to know that. Okay. All right. This little part right here is the moneymaker. Okay. These are things that most of us may not track currently, myself included, until the last, 10, 15, probably 10 years of my career. I knew I would go on a listing appointment and I may or may not follow up a couple times, and then they fell by the wayside because there was another appointment to get to and, ball games to go to and life to happen and food to cook and all the things, right? So this now keeps it in front of you that the number of appointments you had that converted to a deal per month and per year. Okay. So appointments to deal conversion for the month is 38. So if you look back up on this top section, appointments, we had 8 and we turned 3 of those into deals. So that's roughly 38%. Now your year-to-date totals are the same, again, because we're in January. You'll see those fluctuate as I walk you through the form. All right. And then our appointments that converted to money, we had 8 appointments and we got paid 3 times this month. So again, our percentage is 38%. Okay. And then our total leads this month. So we had 10 leads and we got 3 deals. So that's 30%. Okay. I just rounded them to the nearest. So we're not doing point whatever. All right. Makes sense to everybody. If you have a question, put it in the chat so I can make sure I come back to it and I don't forget to answer it. So questions are more than welcome. And I will do, you can ask them as soon as we get done too. I'll have plenty of time. This will only take me about 35 minutes to walk you through it. Okay. So now we've got January done. We're like, oh, we never have to think about January again. Not true. As I said earlier, I got to March and Joan called me. So I went back over here and I updated Joan. Now I've got the appointment with her, right? And then we look at houses in May and we finally get Joan to a paycheck. That paycheck is going back over here to January. We're checking Joan's number here. Okay. So we had a deal and then we had an appointment. Now, if we go to the bottom, it adjusts our conversion rate for this month and for the year. Make sense? Okay. All right. So we're cruising along. February, we had 6 appointments. We got 4 deals. We got paid 3 times and we had 1 fallout. Out of our 10 leads, now we're at 20 for the year. And you can see how your month and your year-to-date conversions are going to change every time you check a box. Okay, no more going back and saying, oh, I convert 50% of my leads, and when you look, you're only converting X, right? Now you'll know specific information. And you're just going to keep rolling. You get to June and you're like halfway through the year, and you can look that I've, converting, your conversion rates are here for the month, but they're here for the year. Let me tell you something. If you're converting, 50% of all your leads coming in and a lot of them are cold, you're a rock star salesperson, because Zillow's average is 2.1% right now, I think, for cold leads. So if you're converting, in my opinion, anything over 30 to 40%, you are a master salesperson. So maybe you need to generate more leads to have more at bats, or maybe that's exactly where you want to be, right? So this should totally align with your goal setting and business planning that we did last month. So if one of your goals was, I want to close so many deals per month, you can look back through here and see if you did it, if you're on track for it, right? If you're working on conversions, if you're working on lead count, this form should be able to answer a lot of those questions for you with the click of a button. Okay. All right. So I want to get to the end and I want to show you how it all works out at the end. All right. I will tell you that there is a different form I will send you guys to send out, and it has your yearly totals right here, so you don't have to add these up. And I just accidentally pulled up the wrong one. So I'll make sure that you get the new one, but you'll have your yearly totals, so you will know exactly, without going back through counting like I did over here. The totals will be right here for you. All right. So for the year, we generated 120 leads in this sample. We had 75 appointments. We had 52 deals, but only 30 of them got us paid. So we had a 22, I did that wrong. Sorry, that should be 22, not 10 fallout. There we go. Anyway, you got the gist of it. This is what happens when Kendra does math. That's why I have to create these forms. So 52 deals turned into 30 paychecks. All right. So this will give you your year in total. All right. So for the whole year, our appointments to deals are at 71%. Our appointments to conversion, money conversion, we got paid 44% of the time when we wrote the deal. The leads that we convert per month, on average, we're converting almost 40, we're right at 45% of the deals that you or the leads that you bring in every month. So again, anything over a 30% conversion rate is pretty incredible. So this person would have had a pretty amazing year, in my opinion. And then their deal fallouts, they lost 16% of their deals. So there was a lot of learning opportunity for this person when they look at that number. 16% of the deals fell out. Why did they fall out? Was there a reoccurring scenario? That's when they start fixing the issues, right? my callback time, appraisal issue, you know, whatever it is. Okay. So that's the form. It will auto-populate everything for you. Like I said, the one you guys will get will have your yearly totals here, so you won't have to do this and mismanage your math like I did. But any questions on this form, how to use it, how it's going to fix your business, questions you have around scripting around it, anything? There's quite a few of you on this call, so hopefully somebody has a question. Nobody has a question. Did I put you guys to sleep? Everybody asleep?
Someone had a question
There we
about
go.
accounting for closings last year, or well,
All right.
closings that started last year.
Yeah, since we are in January, how do you account for closings this month that began last year, or do you? I absolutely would, just so your numbers are accurate. I would just put them on the bottom of your lead tracker for January and just click your closings. So if you had like Mr. Jones closed and got paid, Susie got paid, and Tanya got paid, I would put them at the bottom, not as they won't go in your lead count, but they would go in your closing count. So your closing data would be accurate at the end, the number of closings that you have. It'll skew your closing to paycheck ratio a hair, but listen, I think it's worth having accurate data, so I would definitely put them on there. I think that's a great question, whoever answered. Connie, that's a great question. Is there a separate tab for the year? All you have to do is copy it. Are you talking about, I'm not sure I understand that question. Haley, can you unmute yourself and ask me, what do you mean by?
Yes, ma'am. I just like, is there a tab that will pull all the information for the whole year, like a list of every lead that you talk to on one tab at the end of the year? I just didn't know if that was a thing.
Like a tab called year end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just, as far as I have it set up now, it would all just go to the year end. So the percentages at the bottom are your yearly total. So that would just tell you the total leads. You can see on the left, the total leads for the year is 120. And then it's using that to auto populate your percentages on the right for year to date. Do you see that?
I see January through December. Is the year end just at the bottom of every one of the monthly tabs?
Yes, and that's a cumulative. So that's going to adjust every time you click a different box, that will adjust those numbers at the bottom for the year.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We got one more. Sorry.
No, go for it.
This is Robbie with Haley here. Is there, if we took one of those tabs and made it be, could we adjust it to where once the deal closes, we have that lead change color? Like you mentioned, your sticky notes. Like
Sure.
it's an active deal is yellow, but when it closes, it changes to green so that it's paid. Are your formulas locked so that we can?
That's a great question. The only formulas that are locked, you guys, are the percentage columns at the bottom. So you can adjust you could do color blocks on your lines up at the top. Absolutely, you can do that. Only the percentage grid at the bottom is the only thing that's locked.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Connie, do you use this form to keep up with follow-up as well? I do not. Connie, as far as my follow-up, once the lead goes into my CRM, it launches a potential buyer or potential seller, and then that reminds me to call them every 3 days or handwritten note or video or whatever. So I don't use that for follow-up. I'm sure if you wanted to add another column or a piece of paper behind it or something to do that, you certainly could, but mine was automated. So the purpose of the form for me was really just keeping all my leads in one place and then it doing the math and auto populating it for me. So I didn't have to calculate all of that at the end of the month or the end of the year. So.
I have a question. This is Michelle.
Yes, Michelle.
If you had started with a person last year and they wasn't ready, do you go ahead and count them for January, or how does that work?
That's totally up to you. I absolutely could see you doing that. Yes. So remember, guys, this is your form. So whatever rules you put in place around the forms, just maintain them forever. So yeah, if you have a couple leads and you're like, I want this to be true and accurate for the 2025 and they're going to buy or sell this year, I want it to be on this form. Absolutely. Bring some leads in there and plug them in and let it rip. I would definitely don't get too much into the weeds about it, however you want to do it, but if I were doing that question, the answer would be yes. I would totally add them to the form so they wouldn't fall through the cracks and I would have accurate reading on our activity with them for the year.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Great question. Other questions? Nobody else has a question. Okay.
I have one
guess-
more, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, go for it. I'm glad you got questions. That's awesome.
So for do you also keep a separate CRM? Like this is just kind of what's happening in front of you right now, and then your CRM is working in the background.
Yes, and my CRM did not manage percentages or anything like that. And mind you guys, I haven't been working a CRM for real estate for several years. So a lot of them are way more advanced and savvy than they used to be. But I also know most of us as high D personalities, we work at our CRM for a few days and then we're like, oh, that's too overwhelming. Just give me a notebook. That's me anyway. So, yes, so the CRM is the drip campaigns and the reminders and my calendar and those kind of things. This is your lead tracker form. Like I can look at somebody's lead tracker. If I'm coaching you, it's Michelle, right? Is this Michelle again?
No, it's Haley.
Oh, hey, okay, Haley, sorry. If you sent me your homework, which your lead tracker, data tracker would be your homework if I were your coach, and your goal was 20 leads and we're 20 days in and you have 2, I would be kicking and screaming at you to get on the phone, right? So that's the accountability piece. If you know how many leads you need to generate each month, this is your accountability tool. If it stays in front of you and you're like, hey, today is the 14th and we don't have any leads, that means we're staying late and we're making calls, or, I need to have 10 appointments between now and the end of the month to generate leads or whatever. That's the accountability piece and the awareness of, hey, we don't have enough leads, we need more of them. So that's how I use the form, as keeping up with what's right in front of me, nothing falls through the cracks, awareness and accountability. And then the CRM is the system and the structure that keeps me in front of them. Send Mr. and Mrs. Smith a video, handwritten card, whatever, right? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Anybody else have a question? Can be a CRM question, lead tracker form. Nothing? Okay. Let me tell you guys what our topic is for next month. Kevin, anything else you need to cover? Or anybody from Kev's office need to cover?
Hey, Kendra,
Yes.
I think what's pretty neat is to not be too hard on yourselves. But, looking at cold conversion, it's about a 2%. That's what cold leads convert at, 2%. I
Yes.
think it's really crucial to understand where your leads are coming from. If you've got zero leads, those are probably going to convert at about 15%, because those are somewhat what we consider warm leads. But if you have something coming through like a Commissions Inc. or a Y Loco or one of these other systems, those are gonna be about a 2% conversion. So I think understanding you might have to have 100 leads before you have 2 closings. So you go back to your sales goals and what you're trying to achieve for the entire year, you have to understand how many leads are coming in the door. And if you have Y Locos and some of these other systems that are like Commissions Inc., you're gonna have to make a lot of phone calls, because those might take up to 4 months to convert. They're not gonna be immediate. You're not gonna get them to convert day one. It's going to take calling and calling and calling and calling. So understand where your leads are coming from, because that's gonna have that conversion percentage. Like you're gonna have to pay attention to that with a little more. Like I've got Zillow leads that are coming in, and those they convert at about 15%. But some of them, like my Facebook leads, it's about 2%. So I think that's important to know where your leads are coming from and what percentage they're going to convert out of.
Yeah, and that was perfect setup. Not that we talked it or rehearsed it, but our February topic is by far the best thing that I think I ever did in my real estate. When people say to me, what's 3 things that you think changed your career, this would be number 1. I always say it, and it's key influencers. And that's what I'm going to teach you guys next month. I'm very excited about it. We're going to talk about who the key influencers are for us as real estate agents, and then how to set an expectation meeting. I'll give you the script to set that meeting with for the meeting with them for you. I will also provide you the tracking tool to start thinking about who those people are and how do we touch them every single month for 12 months. It's called leverage, right? we cannot be in every room at all times. And so if you are a lone ranger, lone practitioner, sole proprietor, whatever you call yourself, agent of one, party of one, that means that the calls that you are making is really the only prospecting that's happening at that time, unless you have a mailer going out or a client party or something like that. With the key influencers, these are people that are going to be in other rooms and they're your advocate when you're not there. Okay. So I will tell you, there are probably 10 people that you know in your database or in your sphere that could refer you up to 4 times a month. We just don't ask. So that's what we're going to work on next month. So the KI that was on our business planning and goal setting form and the KI that was one of our categories for this data tracker, you guys are going to understand exactly who those people are, how we work our relationships with them, how to track that and everything in our February webinar. So it absolutely changed my business. I kept hitting a glass ceiling. I couldn't break through the 200 deals. And I know that's a lot of deals for some of you. You're like, that's crazy. I don't want to do it. I didn't really want to do it either. It just happened, right? Grace of God. So, but I couldn't break through the 200. And this is the one thing that I added into my world that took me through the 200s all the way to 360 plus deals in a year. And it was this one thing. And I've never bought a lead, just so you guys know. So I can't help you with how to convert, as Kevin was saying, Zillow leads and those kind of things. But what I can teach you and help you with is how to find people that those relationships with those people really want to help you grow your business, and they will be your advocates when you're not in the room. So that's what we're going to do. Same time, same place next month with the crew from My Lending Hand Mortgage. Any other questions before I let you guys run? No? Yes.
While we're here, if we can open the floor up, if anyone has any best practices of maybe what they're using for lead sources. If
Yes.
anyone can take the mic, anyone in the room. What are you guys using for leads? And does anyone have any success maybe with some of the different lead sources that they're paying for? Or like whether you're doing housewarming parties or you're doing handwritten notes, what those lead sources look like for you? And if you guys want to share.
Well, I don't know if you really call it a lead, but it's something I learned from Kendra a few years back. She was at the Istanbul, and I think her topic was loving on your client. And she talked about the type of closing gift. You can give a bottle of wine, whatever, but I started giving closing gifts. And people were asking, oh, that's cool, where'd you get that? And they would talk about me, and I started getting bunches of so I don't even call it legal. That's something I got from her years ago.
Okay.
It started working.
A good closing gift, and
And
that's
what it was, and they were doing. They had on this name. It's customizing.
that's great. Doormats, we give out a cutting board. We partner with you as the agent, so it looks like it's coming from both you and us at Lending and Mortgage. Clients really like that, and that's an opportunity for us to. We don't do it because of the 5-star review, but it's they're willing to give it at that point in time. Once they get that cutting board with their name on it and the closing date, they're like, Lending and Mortgage, my agent, are the best. So something else that we do. Yes.
So cutting board, I actually give out Cutco knives.
Cutco knives, that's good.
Knife, information engraved.
That's great. Cutco knives. Perfect. Anyone else paying for leads? Any events that you use to create leads? Anyone online that has a lead source?
I have something.
I've paid for. Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I have used Zillow before and had some success with it. Now, I wasn't a high ticket Zillow buyer, so I didn't get a lot from it. But I get a lot of leads from open houses.
Mm-hmm.
So she said open houses. Is that what she said? That's what I
Yes, I'm sorry. Am I fading? My signal's
Yeah.
been wonky today for some reason. But yeah, so I did a little bit of Zillow but a lot of mine come from open houses or referrals from past clients.
I think we have somebody else too. Go ahead.
So I do not pay for leads, but what I have done is pair with, this was like last year, and I just invited a local lender, rented out a small place in Dixon just to invite buyers, like try to stay in front of them, just to bring them in like a nice setting where they can ask about credit, like what does that entail? Where should I be at? Just to kind of like encourage them and motivate them that no matter like where their score is, that they can make improvements with just, recommendations and looking at it through like a lender perspective on what is the next steps to get them ready. It wasn't a big turnout. I did have 4 actual buyers there, and 2 of them have stayed in contact with me. They've not converted yet. But that was just a little thing. And I think I probably spent like maybe $250 on food, the room, and just like staying in front of people trying to invite them. And like I said, it's something that I want to continue to do, because I think a lot of buyers, especially this time of year, they just kind of don't know where to start, and, just be that encouragement for them to let them know that, hey, we can get you. Sorry, I'll mute myself now.
No, whoever shared that, I think that's great, especially right now in January. How many of our, friends and family are like, what, now is the time that I want to buy a house. It's in January, so they set that New Year resolution that they're going to do a home purchase in 2025. Well, how do they get there? They use their tax refund money. So make sure that you guys are putting these types of things out, and you don't necessarily have to do it in person. While I think it's great to do it in person, it's also something that you can't do often because, think about a wedding. Every time that you put on a wedding, you probably only want to do it one time because it takes so much effort. But if you do them virtually, it's really easy to replicate month and month and month again. So, we know some agents that do it monthly, and it's really easy. You create a publication, you put an event right out, and you guys can do the home buyer class online virtually. So, we know some agents that do that and they have a lot of success with it. Hey, Kendra,
Yes.
we've got a question, pay at closing referrals. Hey, have you used that before?
What is it?
The pay at closing referrals, like Fast Expert, those for things,
OpCity.
cities.
I've never done any of those.
Is anyone in the room that OpCity?
No, I use Upnest and I got maybe on there 1 year.
What was that?
Upnest.
Upnest? Okay, Upnest, so we have, someone uses Upnest here in the office.
I usually get a good one every 2 to 3 months.
Okay, and so what is the system that you use?
So I did do OpCity for a while, and then I got out of that one. Right now I got Fast Expert.
Fast Expert is another one. What's the percentage that you?
Fast Expert, but it's at 40% is what you pay them.
Okay.
But I have one under contract now that's a $500,000 house.
Okay.
And it's better than zero.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. OpCity, does anyone know the percentage for OpCity? Is that 35% that you have to pay them?
No, it's like
42%.
something it is on some agents in my office.
Okay, Redmond is another one, right?
So on Upcity, it's pretty poor, honestly. I wouldn't get on there. You'll get leads that are 50,000, 60,000, and you go up in the circuit, and the higher you are, the better you are. Now, I do have one agent that probably closes 3 a month. But that's because she's been on there for quite some time,
Okay.
and her leads are anywhere between 200 and 900.
I've got one off there that was like 120 or something like that, because they were like, oh, what if we go with something cheap and fix it up? And they end up buying a $300,000 house.
So they start with something smaller and then they end up.
That happens.
Right.
Yeah, and then get up in construction and.
Good.
I don't know.
So
Have you guys ever heard of Agent Assist? But I've used Agent Assist, and actually, Kevin, I've closed that deal with you, one of the leads that I got through them. It was I think a $600,000 one.
How long have you been using that system?
So it was offered through EXP, so I'm not with them anymore, but when I was with them, it was only probably about a couple of months before I got that lead converted over.
What we'll do is we'll put together some of these different lead sources that you guys can use, and if you want to try them out, go for it. Yeah, Kel.
I've spent tens of thousands of dollars a month at times for leads. And really didn't pan out. The best amount of money that I've spent on trying to get business is spending on past clients. Hosting parties, hosting events, taking them out to eat, taking them to hockey games, loving on them. And just in the last couple of months, I've probably had since October, about $4 million just in referrals, in sales.
Awesome. Yes.
Leads that I've gotten from anywhere else, but I'm not paying for leads anymore. Because it was nice to have them, and like, oh, yeah, I'd sell a few, but I was breaking even or losing money.
They keep you busy.
Yeah, and they keep you busy, you're out showing houses all the time, and you know, but they're all buyers, so I'm listing leads, I'm gonna get some leads. So now I just try to spend that money mostly on one-on-one with past clients and doing a group events.
Right. No, I like that. I think that's really important. And that's one of those clients for life because they're gonna give back to you and treat and stay in front of them constantly. Donna, Shell, can you share what you do?
I do a lot of marketing,
Marketing mail outs is what Donna Shell does. So.
it's on them. Inside.
Insight, okay.
Every night, and I send about,
Are you still doing expired listings? Okay.
I want to start using your home line, is that home IQ?
My home IQ.
Or my, so maybe people don't know about that, you can tell everyone about that.
Yeah, so everyone in this room, you know, you should, or if you've done business with me in the past, you should have got an invite from my home. So if you haven't received it, we'll resend that link out from My Home IQ. But basically it pulls in all your past clients that you've ever had. It's gonna send them out a monthly to let them know the value of their home. Very interactive, but it also lets them know like what type of equity they need. And if they go to any open houses or if they're going to other listings, you're going to be alerted of their activity. So again, you can see a lot of details without really calling them often. You're going to stay in front of them. So My Home IQ is a really good, valuable resource. And, you know, I would make sure that you're utilizing it. And if you want to do a presentation on it, we can. It's really good because they'll also do an onboarding call, just to make sure that you know all aspects of the system. So once you sign up for it, they will contact you. You guys do the onboarding call and get you very familiar with the system. It doesn't cost you anything. I think there's also a premium version that you can use, but it is a free system that you can use. So really good tool. Anyone else have any other systems that they're using to generate leads?
I just wanted to say that, I agree with the referrals. This is Michelle. I talked to a client that I closed the house on back in 2018. And they're in Memphis. However, I'm in Nashville. I still called them and wished them happy anniversary. And her husband's birthday is on the same day as their anniversary. And they was really excited and they was just sharing with me how they, are still in love with their home and that, even though I'm in Nashville, they're still going to, refer. So following up, keeping in contact, I think that's one of the most important ways that you can get some good referrals and get good business.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Michelle. Kendra, do you have anything else? Anyone else online have anything that they'd like to share? Anyone in
I've
the
been
room?
looking here. I don't see anything else on here, but no, I think, I'm a referral based girl. So that's why I teach database, the key influencers that we'll talk about next month, and really just use this time if you're not super busy, just to reconnect, wish your people happy new year, work on your professional presentation, your buyer consultations, work on your listing presentations. We'll talk about those in the months ahead. But use this time to reconnect, right? If there's a party somewhere, go. If there's an event somewhere, attend. Don't be a secret agent, stay home. This is a great time to get out and network.
Okay. All right. Next month is, oh my goodness, Kendra.
February 11th, I believe. Let's look.
Yeah.
February 11th.
February 11th.
Yep, same time, same place, and we're gonna cover key influencers, so it should be a really good one.
Okay. Thank you again, Kendra.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
everyone.
I'll make sure you get this updated version so you can send it out to the crew later this afternoon.
Okay, great. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, thanks you guys. Have a great day. Bye y'all.
Bye.